And it's the midweek edition of Business Morning on Channels Television. Good morning, good evening, wherever in the world you're watching from. I'm Ladi Williams. It's great to have you join us. Let's take a look at what's in the news. We see oil prices rose this morning by more than $1 in early Asian trade on hopes of demand recovery in China as the country gradually eases some of the restrictions, the strict COVID-19 containment measures. Brent crude futures was up $1.15 to $113.08 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures climbed about $1.62 to $114.02 a barrel, pairing some losses after oil prices fell by around 2% in the previous session. Shanghai achieved its long-awaited milestone of 3 consecutive days with no new COVID-19 cases outside quarantine zones on Tuesday and set out plans for ending a lockdown that has lasted more than 6 weeks. And back here, the National Information Technology Development Agency has alerted businesses and organizations operating in Nigeria of an impending spillover of cyber attacks due to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. A statement released by the agency called for more precautionary measures to be taken as the ongoing conflict between both countries, which started in February, had increased cyber attacks on businesses and government organizations. It adds that businesses and organizations should strengthen their cyber defenses and perform due diligence in identifying malicious activities that could affect their networks, assets, and critical national infrastructure. And our key players in the insurance industry across West Africa region are set to put in place frameworks for a greater integration, efficiency, and cooperation in the insurance sector. This is just the Commissioner for Insurance, Mr. Sunday Thomas, is calling on the College of Insurance Supervisors of the West Africa Monetary Zone to develop documentation processes that will build a point of reference for improved supervisory activities in the West Africa region. Speaking at the meeting in Abuja, the Commissioner for Insurance, Mr. Sunday Thomas, explains that insurance penetration in the West African region remains a catalyst towards its socio-economic development. Do take a listen.
The International Association of Insurance Supervisors, IAIS, has provided a forum for members to share their experiences and understanding of insurance supervisory and insurance markets. Their experience and practices led to the development of 26 insurance core principles, and 2 of the principles centered on regional and interregional cooperation. ICP 25 is on supervisory cooperation and coordination, that is sectorial, regional, and interregional, while ICP 26 is on cross-border cooperation and coordination on crisis management. I employed the college to develop a process of documentation, because documentation of proceedings should be given priority, as this will be point of reference for improved supervisory activities in the region. And by this I mean, let this one crystallize to forming books for supervision and regulation of insurance in the sub-region.
And now to our next conversation. Data from the National Bureau of Statistics show the number of internet subscribers in Nigeria grew astronomically by about 14.03 million in the fourth quarter of 2021 to about 154.3 million compared to 140.28 million recorded in the previous quarter. Well, to discuss how internet service providers are handling and weighing new subscribers, we have joined us in the studio, Mundukwe Okewo, country manager at Connect. It's great to have you on the program.
Good to be here, Ladi.
Right. So quite an interesting growth we're seeing with subscribers, internet subscribers in Nigeria. And I'm wondering, how are you as an internet provider handling, most of these subscribers and actually bringing in more subscribers into the net?
I think the very first thing is about providing the infrastructure. All right. So as the penetration is getting to be increased, we have more people coming on board the broadband connectivity. Then you have challenge with the infrastructure. So for us, what is now very key to us is to be able to provide that infrastructure. And if you look at it, there are various, broadband infrastructure that can be used from your terrestrial services to the satellite service. So you have situation where those in the rural areas cannot enjoy that, fiber connectivity, hence the need for a last mile, which is the satellite broadband connectivity. So for us, what we did was to launch a very big satellite, which has the capability to provide 5 Gbps over Nigeria, which is to accommodate the increasing, subscribers into broadband, and we've been able to do that through the launch of our Connect, satellite.
Quite interesting. But tell me more about, Connect, the exact services that you actually render.
All right. As mentioned, for Connect, we launched this satellite 2 years ago, and commercially we have been available in Nigeria for about a year now. And we have seen that, tremendous, uptake in our service. People really need, this service. And for our service, we have provided unlimited data connectivity. Very important to mention that this is a satellite service and not a mobile service. So for those people who have understood satellite to just be for their cable TV connection, we are saying you can also get internet connectivity via satellite. All right, so all you just need is the same device, this dish that you have outside your house, the same way with your cable TV. You have your dish and you have your modem inside the house. The modem is connected to your router, your Wi-Fi router, and with that you can connect all your devices. So we brought that on board to provide connectivity to the teeming population and yearning of Nigerians. We brought on board the unlimited data connectivity because we know Nigerians really want to talk and stream the internet.
Quite interesting. You mentioned unlimited data because quite a lot of a number of internet service providers, they talk about how they have unlimited packages. You pay so much for that unlimited package, but you find out that within that package you're still limited. You still have limits, maybe 120 gig or something, and some people actually use more than that and they end up using more of the unlimited, and they don't have any more data to use. So I'm wondering, is it truly unlimited with your service?
All right, the service is unlimited, all right. But what we do is to be able to manage the network infrastructure so that the service is not degraded, all right. So now what that does to consumer experience is that the priority data that they have, the moment that priority data is exhausted, then you see and they experience that throttled speed. Now for us, what we have done differently in comparison to other providers is to tell our consumers that you have the unlimited data. Now with your priority data, once that is exhausted, you are not going to be disconnected. We know Nigerians, the level of affordability, people wait for their salaries before they can commit monies into several things. So knowing that internet is an essential commodity, we've made it that you will never be disconnected till the end of your validity period. So regardless of the fact that you've consumed your priority data, you are still connected. That's number one. Then number two, very different from others, we have made people, consumers, to be able to enjoy that high-speed connectivity of up to 100 Mbps from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. free. So where you have consumed your priority data, the moment you get to 10 p.m. every night, you are going back to that high-speed connectivity of up to 100 Mbps, which is very different from what is available in the market today. And again, what we are saying is it doesn't cost a lot. With 6,900 naira, you can get connected to this unlimited data.
Quite interesting. And looking at how it works, now you said it's a satellite. So do you have to run, most of those cables, into particular areas to make sure that, people can actually connect to the satellite? And how does the weather impact your service?
All right. Now, to just address the weather, because a lot of people have that notion about, satellite connectivity being, grossly affected by the weather. Now, for us, the latest satellite technology that we have launched has what we call the mode code, the modulation. When the weather is bad, the power of the satellites gets boosted so that that connection is maintained with the dish. All right. So with that, the connection is sustained. But the only thing that happens is when the rain gets torrential, then the disconnection happens. However, immediately that subsides, the connection is restored immediately. So if you compare that to the traditional, satellite connectivity that we have, in comparison to maybe your cable connectivity, there has been an improvement over that. So there is that change that you don't really see, the impact. Now, for you to get connected, all you just need is the dish to be installed outside, the modem to be installed inside, then you have your Wi-Fi router. So the same process that you have your cable TV being connected, cable laying within the house, that is done. We put the modem inside, and for you, within 2-3 hours, you get connected. So we put the modem inside, you connect that to your Wi-Fi router, and every of our Wi-Fi devices can get connected.
Quite interesting. But, we still have that issue, when it comes to rural areas, not getting, most of these services. How is this satellite actually helping, to increase users in the rural areas?
All right. If you look at the statistics, which I know that a lot of us have heard over time, if you look at the National Broadband Plan, the plan of the government is to be able to provide 10 Mbps speed to the rural areas and 25 Mbps speed to the urban areas in 2025, not today, in 2025. Now, 61% of the population that are yet to be connected today are living in the rural areas. The advantage that our satellites connect has brought on board is that the service is available throughout Nigeria. So regardless of where that person is, where that business is located in Nigeria, whether you are very far in Katsina State or you are in the southern part of Bayelsa State on a rig, we have you connected, not just connected to the 10 Mbps future plan of the government, but connected to 100 Mbps. So we have had businesses coming on board, who have experienced challenges, NGOs that have experienced challenges up north, not being able to have that broadband connectivity. A whole lot of them are getting on board our service to be able to do everything that they want to do over the internet.
Quite interesting.
So the rural areas, nobody is cut off from satellite connectivity, which impacts the last mile.
Interesting. Well, what about, take for instance, I run a business, outside the country. Is there anything for me?
Now, if you're running a business, in the hinterland, because this satellite coverage is throughout Nigeria, regardless of where you are. So imagine somewhere in Adamawa State. We have farms in Adamawa State. We have people running processing factories in Adamawa State. What happens to them if they cannot get connected? So what we are saying is, with our satellite connectivity, which is available, the footprint is available throughout Nigeria, you can get connected there. And we know today that digitization is the main thing. If you look at the government today, talking about tax inclusion, even to the those living in the rural areas, how do we do that? And I'll tell you a story, Laddie. A friend of mine doing a research, all right, went to a suburb in the northwestern part of the country, and encountered a farmer who had more than tens of millions of naira stored at home. Why? Because that farmer could not get a bank around to deposit the money. Why can't bank go to these areas? Because of lack of infrastructure. So what you need today, what banks need today, is just a shelter. The solution, the financial solution is in the cloud, but they need connectivity. So with connectivity that we have brought on board today, banks can go to the rural areas and ensure that those people living their businesses over there are able to get connected to financial services.
Quite interesting. And, this is a time where we're seeing, rising inflation globally. We're seeing our companies actually hike their prices because energy cost is rising. And, some of them have to transfer most of this cost to the customers. I'm wondering, how's this impacting your business?
You see, the truth is no business is immune, to economic situation. That is happening everywhere in the world. But today, what we are saying is we want to maintain. We've had the price of 6,900 naira for our service since inception, and that is what we have still maintained today. For people to get connected, we've had the price of 30,000 naira for people to get connected by the dish, and that is what we have still maintained today. And we hope to be able to keep that, running. But obviously, nobody is immune to, economic situations. So it's impacting all the business, across different segments.
Right, and this year has been described as the year of the squeeze. Consumer incomes are squeezed, and it's not easy to afford the things you could afford before. But tell me more now, where can I, find Connect? If I want to, use your service, where do I go to?
All right. The first thing is we have a website. So regardless of where you are, all you just need to do is to log on to www.connect.com. And on that, the consumer would be able to know the location, the nearest the distributor there is around, his or her location. That is number one. Number two, they can also call us on our phone lines. So after visiting our website, connect.com, or our partner's website, which is cooling.ng.
So that's Connect with a K.
Connect with a K, right. Exactly. Or cooling.ng, they will be able to see all our distribution points. Or they can call us on our number 0908 799 5821. 0908 799 5821 or 0908 799-5826.
Right, quite interesting. But, we're still talking about internet penetration, yes, for Nigeria. I want to know what your outlook is. It's in just 1 minute, just tell me what your outlook is, what we can do better to, improve internet penetration in the country.
The very first thing is to improve infrastructure. All right. Now, for people to get connected, if there is no power source, it becomes very difficult for people to get connected. Now the government is talking about off-grid solution in partnership with CBN. I know that is yet to be implemented, I'm not sure. So in partnership with CBN to be able to provide power to different homes. If that is done, then broadband penetration will become faster. The likes of the terrestrial network cannot go and set up where there is high cost. The high cost of diesel today. So it's difficult for them to go to those rural areas. And same thing for us. We have the coverage there. All the people needs to do is to have power to power the device and get connected. So infrastructure is one key thing to do this.
Quite key. Well, thank you so much. I do like fast internet. I'm not a fan of slow internet, and I'm sure your service is doing pretty well when it comes to speed. Thank you so much, Modupe Okeowo.
Thank you, lad.
Country manager for Connect. It was great having you on the program.
Good to be here. Thank you.
All right. So we'll take a moment now. Do stay with us. This is Business Morning. And now for the AFEX commodity updates. It's mostly green in the commodity market summary for the week ended May 16th, 2022. Most of the parameters close in the green, except for the number of deals and the AFEX commodities index. We see those are down. Well, join us to bring us up to speed. We have Michael Martins, portfolio manager at AFEX, join us on the show. Great to have you, Michael. Good morning.
Hi, Laddie. Good morning. It is always a pleasure to be here.
Always great to have you. Well, give us a rundown of the market activities for the week ended.
Thank you very much, Laddie. So if you look at the table in front of you, the total turnover, that is the value of transactions traded on the exchange, went up by 67.37% over the course of the week, from 0.95 billion to close the trading week at 1.59 billion naira. The total number of contracts traded on the exchange also went up by 42.47%, from 3.86 million contracts to close the week at 5.50 million contracts. The number of deals, however, as you mentioned earlier, fell slightly, or significantly, I should say, by 29.81% to close the trading week at just 292 deals. The AFEX Commodities Index also fell slightly by 0.45% to close the trading week at 470.35 points. The AFEX Export Index, which is the AEI, went up slightly by 2.83% to close the trading week at 204.07 points. With regards to the volume of contracts traded on the exchange, as I mentioned earlier, we generally saw an increase in the volume of contracts, with maize showing the biggest change from 1.56 million contracts traded last week to close this week at 3.64 million contracts. Soybean also went up significantly, trading up from 355,000 contracts last week to close this week at over 1.05 million contracts. Sorghum and cashew also traded up significantly this week. We, however, saw little to no change with regards to the volume of contracts traded for ginger, cocoa, sesame, and also for paddy rice. With regards to price changes on the exchange in the week under consideration, the biggest change happened with sorghum, which went up by 10.34% to close the trading week at 250 naira per kilogram. Maize also went up by 7.23% to close the trading week at over 233 naira per kilogram. Soybean also went up by 5.46% to close the trading week at over 425 naira per kilogram. We, however, saw a significant decline with paddy rice, which fell by 9.81% to close the trading week at 228 naira per kilogram. Cashew nut also fell slightly by 2.87% to close the trading week at over 664 naira per kilogram. And last but certainly not least, cocoa fell slightly by 1.83% to close the trading week at over 1,221 naira per kilogram. And as we always mention, if you want to know more about the commodities market, you can always go to our website, which is www.africaandexchange.com. And if you want to get started trading commodities, which I expect you already are, you can go and download our app, which is available on iOS and also on Android.
Well, Michael, thanks for that. Well, you actually expect, us to be trading commodities, because I remember in 2021, you told me that the commodities was the right market for me to go into. And yeah, you were right. We're seeing a lot of prices going up right now. And we're seeing that war in Ukraine actually propping up agricultural commodity prices. We're seeing India also blocking out wheat exports at this time. Tell me, what should Nigeria be doing, at this point to manage this situation? Because this is impacting a lot of African countries, North Africa and most of Africa.
Laddie, thanks a lot for that question. And I think that the Russian-Ukraine crisis has been part of the conversation, in my opinion, for far too long. We had hoped that the war would have ended, much earlier, but it's sad to see that it's still continuing. But before I answer, on what we should do as a country, I think it's important for us to understand the context of, what has happened over the past couple of months. Particularly with key commodities of focus, right? So take, for example, for wheat in the international market, the price of wheat has gone up by almost 100%, from about $7 per bushel to close at currently between $10 to $13 per bushel. That's almost an increase, right, of almost 100%, right? And we have mentioned that, different times how Russia is the first or is the biggest exporter of wheat, and also followed closely in 5th place by Ukraine, right? When you look at Nigeria as a country, right, last year we imported about 1.29 trillion naira of wheat into the country. So it's safe to say that we have significant exposure to wheat as a commodity, and of course it has direct implication on certain commodities like bread, pasta, noodles and a couple of other commodities. I mean, I went yesterday to buy noodles at the local store, and that onion small Indomie was about 100 naira.
Wow.
So it's safe to say I need to find an alternative, very soon if I want to keep eating. Secondly is also maize, and I think it's important to also mention maize, considering what has also happened with maize prices, particularly in the international market. Maize prices have gone up from about $7.5 per kilogram to almost, I should say $6.5 per kilogram, to almost $8 per kilogram. That's a significant change in the international market, and we have been seeing those huge price changes too in the local market, considering that most commodities haven't been resetting to the original harvest price, as you would expect in any given commodity season, And of course, we know that maize has a significant impact on cereals generally. I mean, I don't take conflicts on any given day or golden mug, but Ladi, I'm pretty sure that you do. Don't tell anybody.
Well, don't tell.
We can also talk about soybeans. We can also talk about soybeans too, which is another major commodity of focus, which is also seeing a significant price increase, And this is both for the international market and also for the local market. And if you want to talk more generally, specifically, I should say, with regards to what is going on, what will happen over the course of the next commodity season, I think it's also important to mention what has happened with urea prices. So just to note, if you compare the urea price, in April 2020, with the price that we currently have today, the price of urea has gone up by more than a factor of 7, So urea, as at April of 2020, was about 50,000 naira per metric ton. Today, it's bordering on 350,000 naira per metric ton in the international market. In the local market today, we are seeing a price change of almost, 80 to 90%, and that's even, and that's even across board for all the other fertilizers. So it's safe to say that we will begin to see the significant impact of the Russia-Ukraine crisis on most of the commodities of focus, but also on the key inputs that we distribute to smallholder farmers, to help increase the productivity. So that's just given a bit of a context of a background with regards to what has happened with the war, and also what has happened with regards to commodity prices both internationally and locally. With regards to what we need to do as a country in the short term, I think it's safe to say that we need significant government intervention with regards to subsidy, both for fertilizer prices and then also for wheat, importation. I mean, it's safe to say, considering that wheat importation has gone up by more than 70% over the past year, that trend is likely to continue, because I don't see people, going from eating bread to eating something, entirely different. And it isn't the case that most of the machinery that is used in processing wheat, can be converted to to process something else. So in the short term, I believe we will need significant government intervention with regards to the importation of wheat, and then also with fertilizer prices. I think in the long term, I think it's important to say that most of the key infrastructure issues that we have mentioned time and time again do need to be addressed. Both from a production standpoint with regards to increasing, the productivity of the average smallholder farmer, with regards to, and also with regards to other infrastructure like, road networks, and also storage infrastructure that needs to be put into place to make sure that even if, we have to import about 99% of our, wheat consumption in the country, we can't begin to start putting, structures in place that will help reduce that number significantly over the course of the next decade.
Right. Well, Michael, we know how the government is struggling right now, even with the PMS subsidy. I don't know how we can't start adding, other subsidies at this point. But, Michael, you know how I don't like, buying the top. We've seen these markets, this commodities surge, at this point. Where is the right entry, Michael? Is this still a good entry?
To be honest, I think what we advocate in any given commodity season still stands, and it's a bit of a reflection of, the law of demand and supply itself. We very often expect commodities to be at their lowest prices, when it's harvest season, and that's usually within the month of November and December. Sometimes it might be earlier in the month of October, but usually around the month of November, December, that's when you would expect, commodity prices to be at their lowest, Because that's when, there's significant production, there's significant harvest, there's significant volume in the market. And you tend to see that price rise over time. Whether or not you should buy now, Ladi, I honestly cannot tell you. But honestly, I think prices have moved way too much, for there to be any sort of significant increase in prices. over the course of the next quarter. I mean, we've already seen almost, 75% of the entire commodity trading season already. So it's safe to say that most of the price increases have already happened, and if any is going to happen over the course of the next couple of weeks, they're only going to be marginal, right? But in any case, like I said, what we always advocate still stands. You would expect to see commodity prices at their lowest at harvest season, and then you'd expect to see that price rise consistently over an extended, 9-month period.
Right, and obviously a lot of investors want to hedge, right now against inflation because that is peaking globally. All right, Michael, thank you so much. It was great, always great having you on the show and having your insight. Thank you so much, Michael.
You're far too kind, laddie. You're far too kind.
All right, we'll take a moment now. And for the markets right now, talking about buying the top, well, we have Ini right there. Ini, we have another pullback.
Yes, we have another pullback, laddie. But before we get into that, I mean, I wish Michael had reminded you that you did promise to get into that commodities market.
Yeah,
laddie.
with my handful of ginger that I bought.
And now you're asking if you should buy at the top. Come on, you had a lot of opportunities.
Ini, you know how trader psychology can be. You just want to jump in when it's all up.
All right, welcome to the market segment. Well, the equities markets, which we celebrated for over 5 weeks, has been on the flip side this is the second trading day. It dropped by 0.35%. The all-share index dropped there and losing that 52, that close net it had to 53 is really going down from 52,900 plus yesterday's. But the good thing is the equities cap is still within that 28.44 trillion naira, still within the 28 trillion naira, and so we still have that comfort. And then yesterday also we saw that volume was really high, value was really high yesterday. I think value went about 200% for the equities, even though the deal wasn't so as much as the previous days. For the sectors, only industrial goods, and this was really, really slim. This was WAPCO, the brothers industrial goods up here. Everything, GTCO, and then MTN Nigeria, that guy that always moves the market. Well, they were down yesterday, lost about 3 naira 50 cover thereabouts, and so not surprising to see that most of the sectors were in the red yesterday. Let's go to the fixed income markets. It's been really quiet these days. We hope that the MPC will bring some life into it. FARC allocation may also bring some life into it, but we have Choma Udu now to join us and tell us what's going on. Hi, Choma. Good morning. Hello, Choma, are you there? Okay, seems we don't have Choma this time. I hope to have okay, I'll just wait for that cue from our director when we have Choma. So at the federal government bonds yesterday, they all 8, but generally the fixed income space has been quiet. The issue of liquidity, waiting some movement there, hoping that with the MPC that we will have some movement. 8 deals at the FGM bonds yesterday worth just about 6.6 billion naira. I think we have Choma now. Hello, Choma. Good morning.
Good morning, Isi. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you, Choma. What's going on? How can we wake this fixed income space? Want to wake it up? What's going on?
Oh, well, like you rightly said, it's been very low in the market. What can wake it up is we're at the brain of a thin liquidity in the money market. We opened 8 billion long, and rates in the markets, in the money market, is about 12.5%. As a result of that, we've seen some bearish sentiment at the short end of the T-bills yield curve, where we've seen participants try to discount their bills to generate some liquidity. We had a bond auction on Monday, about 345 billion was tapped out of the system, and we're supposed to fund that auction today. So we expect that when market opens or starts trading today, we expect that more bearish sentiment will occur in the market and then help with some activities that you're asking for in the market today.
All right. And you know what? It was last week, JP Morgan delisted Nigeria from the emerging economies. When we look at the implication of that on our bonds, investment space and perception to investing in Nigeria. What do we expect, really? And maybe it's too soon to say that we are seeing the impact of that.
Well, we saw a knee-jerk reaction from the FPIs. We noticed that they've been scarce, participation in that space. So the JP Morgan excluding us from their index, well, we saw a little reaction. We saw some bearish sentiment across the curve, but that has reduced. Well, it's a sit-and-wait approach. Like you mentioned, earlier mentioned in this show, there's inflation around the world. Nigeria is currently at 16.8, so that's 90 basis points from the last inflation. So, well, what we see investors really looking at is looking at quality assets and then trying to get returns as much as possible for their investments.
All right, and then we have MPC coming on Tuesday. Well, the common thing going on globally now is the hike of interest rates to tame inflation. But of course, this would also affect investor sentiment and decisions. First of all, do you think that the MPC will hike interest rates when they meet on Tuesday?
What I think is that referring to where inflation is, they should look at, tweaking the the benchmark interest rates right now. But you never know what's going to happen. How the MPC works is that they look at all the indices and the macroeconomics in Nigeria and then make their decision. But the right thing to do, or the advisable thing to do, is to tweak the interest rate, the benchmark MPR rate, a little from what it currently is today because of inflation.
That will affect, activities here. We're already complaining of lack of liquidity, complaining of lack of activity. How do you think it will affect investors?
Well, if that happens, generally investors will be looking for outlets for higher returns. Right now, if you look at the short end of the curve, which when I'm speaking to the T-bills curve, the highest rate you can get in the market is about 5%, which is a negative, return benchmark to inflation. So we expect that what the market is asking for right now is gradual increase in returns that you get from this the fixed income assets and any other assets in the market. So we expect that the MPC is going to look at all that and then make their decisions next week.
All right. Well, we just have to wait, and not too far. It's just Tuesday. We'll know what the MPC decides. Thank you so much, Choma Udu, fixed income dealer with GT Co. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll certainly look forward to that auction that's coming up on the markets.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, so just before we hand over, like we discussed there with Choma, very quiet there, the Treasury bills, only one deal, a whole day, come on. Very quiet indeed, and CPN just 2 deals yesterday worth 4 billion naira. Omu had 10 deals, 48 billion naira. And there we saw that next year, the auction that matures February next year was the most favored for the 1.4 billion naira. And the NSD OTC market is also sharing in that bearish sentiment that the equities market is feeling. It was down 0.03 at 1.05 trillion naira. And that's the activities that they had yesterday, Ladi. That's it from this corner.
Right, and I'm sure at some point we're going to see some, bullishness in that market. These markets all work in cycles.
Yeah, it's a cycle.
We're waiting to see how that plays out.
We just hope that the parameters are right. I mean, that's what drives investor sentiment. So when the parameters are right, and everybody wants to make money. You put your money where you can hedge.
Sure money. Thank you so much, Ini.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we'll take a break now. When we come back, we head to London. Just stay with us. This is Business Morning. Welcome back. Still watching Business Morning. Now we head to the UK, where it's all about inflation right now. The year of the squeeze unfolding right before our eyes. When inflation data is out in the UK, we have Juliana right there with the details. Great to have you, Juliana. So it's a 40-year high. 9%, borderline double digit, but consumers have said it feels like double digit inflation. Hello, Juliana. Well, I don't know if, I don't think Juliana can hear me right now. We'll try to get Juliana back on the line. Well, let's look at what's happening in other markets now. We have the crypto space. We see the Fear Greed Index trading at around 12% this morning, showing extreme fear. We're looking at the Fear Greed Index showing sentiment in the crypto market. We see the market cap there, it's at $1.9 trillion. That's down about 1.13%. Volume traded $76.45 billion, down about 14.38% this morning, and Bitcoin dominance sitting at 44.29%. We get those figures on the screen. Price of Bitcoin, we see it's at $29,925. That's down about 1.57%, and volume traded $29.04 billion in Bitcoin. Ethereum trading $2,074. That's down about 1.65%. So it's mostly red in the market, in the crypto market right now, even with the top alts by market cap, just eCash in the green. All right, let's bring in Rume Ofi now, digital market analyst. Hello, Rume. Great to have you. Good morning.
Good morning, Laddie. Thank you.
Right, Rume. Well, Rume, it's a bear market from global equities to the crypto market, all hitting lows not seen in a while. What should retail traders be doing at this point?
Yeah, it's not an easy
not an easy time.
Period. Yeah, exactly. Some of us are now in a way immune to this because we've been in it for a while now. We saw a similar case in 2017, 2018, and even the COVID period as well. So it's a situation of we having thick skin. Just aside saying that we're diamond hands as well. I think what retail investors should do now is to buy. This is a very huge discount price, right? You've seen 50% down, some altcoins 70% down, 80% down. But also take note that you need to buy things that are of good utility that solves problems, right, in the ecosystem. And also, this is a time to also study because this industry is beyond just buying coin and it comes 50%, 20% and all. Study and understand the industry very well so that you can create a path for yourself, more like a career kind of thing.
Quite interesting. Now, we know a lot of people talk about buying the dip, but what happens when you don't have money to buy that dip, Rume? But another, something else in the news now, we see President Nayib Bukele of El Salvador announce about 44 countries for the meet in El Salvador to discuss Bitcoin. We have about 32 central bankers and 12 financial institutions. What can we expect from this meeting?
I think I quite love this meeting, 40 central banks, and I actually see a situation where this news was blown out of proportion in some sort because a lot of people say it's about Bitcoin, it's about cryptocurrencies, and the president is saying that it's not really about cryptocurrencies, is most especially the discussion around financial inclusion and digital economy. Africa has some very huge amount of unbanked people. In fact, I was checking some days ago about the high numbers of unbanked countries in the world, and I think we also take center stage as a country. Nigeria, we're amongst the first 10 in the world. I think we're third in Africa, which means that there need to be more financial inclusion. But in this time, it's going to be more of a digital economy. We need to encourage people to get involved. Now, this discussion is being a bit close to in making it look like it's Bitcoin or cryptocurrency because, El Salvador is actually heavily involved in cryptocurrency. But I know those discussions there's not going to be a bit exempted, but I think the world needs to see how far a lot of people that are not financially inclusive, they need to come in through this digital transformation that is going through the world. It could be through some form of other payment, alternative payment method, maybe like the CBDCs, right? But the truth is, we see how far. The most important thing is that people should be included so that the economy could head to its progressive direction. Putting side by side that inflation is everywhere, and the top economies of the world are actually experiencing it in a very hard way. Maybe because we're used to the double digit. That is why we're not really saying much about it. But the truth is, we need to get involved more in ways of paying, financial inclusiveness, and some other things that will help people to do business more effectively in this part of the world.
Quite interesting, because we know how President Bukele likes to buy the dip anytime Bitcoin goes down. So I'm guessing everyone just believes this meeting is all about Bitcoin. But now we see Robinhood is developing non-custodial crypto wallets. They're launching, some of these non-custodial crypto wallets. How is that going to work?
Robinhood has been really massive. Robinhood is a stock. Is a platform where people go buy stocks, young people, most especially young demographic in the US. And a lot has been coming up since they said that, they are going to more involve themselves in crypto asset. But before now, they were doing it in a way whereby you could not withdraw your crypto asset. Now it has been made to go through a process whereby you can invest your crypto asset there and actually withdraw it. But now that they are going to get themselves involved in custodial, it only means that a lot of attention is going to go towards that extent, considering the fact that a lot of the young persons actually got into using Robinhood to trade. And in their wait list then, about 2 million plus people were actually waiting to see how far they could get involved with their new wallet system, where people can also invest and actually withdraw to other wallet systems. But now they are coming to say, we're going to do non-custodial. It's going to make a lot of sense. Why? You have a wallet, they provide a wallet for you, you put your money, transferring your fiat to cryptocurrency and holding it.
Right.
So it makes a lot of sense, and it's going to be inclusive for finance in that space there in the UK.
All right, Rumi. Well, Robinhood always finds a way to get in the news. Thank you so much, Rumi. It was great talking to you. I'll catch you again some other time.
Thank you very much, Ladi. Always a pleasure.
All right, now let's try and bring in Juliana. Now, I think we have Juliana standing by right there. Juliana, well, it's a 40-year high. Juliana, how are analysts and consumers seeing this new number? Hello, Juliana. Oh, seems Juliana can't hear me again. Well, we're still having a problem. Hello, Juliana, can you hear me?
Well, they've got like 2 minutes left of the show. I don't want to come and speak for 30 seconds. What's the point?
Okay, I guess Juliana cannot hear me right now. All right, Juliana, thank you so much. Well, let's see what's happening in the market there. We see the top alts by market cap there, BNB there, $300. That's down about 2.01%. Cardano, 56 cents, down about 2.99%. And eCash there, the only gainer green coin we see on the top alts by market cap, that's up about 1.40%. XRP, 42 cents, up by 1.70%. We see the top 5 gainers there. We see KNC there topping that counter. That's up about 34%. And Clayton coin up 5.31%. We see it's quite a lean top gainer list. Just KNC there topping that counter. And the top 5 losers, we've seen Cadena there, $2.88. That's down about 10.26%. MakerDAO down 8%. It's still a rough market. We're seeing a lot of depegging with some of these algorithmic stable coins not making the stable coins look as stable as they should look. But the market is quite red right now, with Bitcoin seeing some selling pressure at this hour. I think it's below the 30K mark, trading about 29,000 at this hour. All right, that's it for the crypto market. Thank you so much for watching. Do remember to join us at 1:30 on Business Incorporated. We'll have Juliana on at that time. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ladi Williams. Bye for now.